Alright, I'm not entirely sure what the title of this video will be, but the video is going to be on the basis of the effects of being cheated on, or the effects of cheating. And this is coming from a black man that has never cheated before a day in his life. Now, I know that's a controversial statement to make. I know there's been an individual, Derrick Jackson, that has turned that into a coined phrase, black men don't cheat, or whatever the case may be. But understand, this one has never cheated, but I have been cheated on. So from that standpoint, I do understand the effects of it. And from that, I'm gonna go way back to the first time that it happened. It took place in 7th grade. And through my time, I've been cheated on a few times. And through those times of being cheated on, my mom has been a huge support, especially as early as 7th grade, being a kid in love or whatever the case may be. But in 7th grade, having a conversation with my mom, and she's, essentially telling me that I need to play the field. And I'm like, nah, I'm not playing the field, because I need love, on some LL Cool J type stuff. So she was, boy, you don't know nothing about love. What you talking about? Son, she just like, son, maybe you should just forget about it. My 13-year-old self, inexperienced self at that, stood up and looked at grown, experienced woman in her face and said, Mama, maybe you never been in love like I've been in love. Maybe you never felt the things that I felt. Sometimes, Mama, you get lonely. You get lonely. You get lonely. Oh, and I cry. I cry. Oh. In tears. I feel love. In the way I live my life. They got so bad that I told myself I would just roll up in a big old ball and die. She said, boy, you need help. But nah, real talk. She told me to play the field. Told me I'm too young to be focused on love, so on and so forth. But that just wasn't me. I wasn't the type to play the field or whatever the case may be. I was a young kid that was real big with love, and so got cheated on. Then I may be fast forwarding a few things. Got cheated on another time. I want to say first year of college or something like that, and both times I cried. Oh yeah, bruh man cried, and both times mama was there. And so I say that because I understand what it feels like to be cheated on. I got in a depressed state, lost weight, didn't want to eat. A lot of things were going downhill at the time. It seemed like the world was ending. It's one of the darkest places I ever been in. And so for me to make a statement as far as being a black man that has never cheated, it's two reasons behind that. It's one, because I have been cheated on, so I know how that feels. I know the dark place it puts you in, and you got to keep in mind, the first time was when I was a kid in 7th grade, and you're already going through different emotions at that time, emotional changes outside of relationships, possible relationships, which kids shouldn't be dating at that age, but this ain't the video for that. I'm just giving you an idea of my experience with being cheated on. And so being cheated on as a kid, that's a critical time to be going through a lot of different emotions, and being cheated on will stick with you, in my opinion. It sticks with you for the rest of your life. And so that would be the first time, and then the time in college. I was in a dark, empty place. It put me into depression. I will say there's other things that's playing a part in me not trusting people in relationships. There's other factors into that as well, but I would also assume that a lot of that has to deal with my past experiences of being cheated on. So you have to understand that to do that to somebody, that's putting them in a place that could potentially affect their entire life. So one aspect of me never cheating before would be, it's been done to me, so I know how it feels, and I wouldn't want to put anybody else through that type of hurt. The second thing would be, as I began to grow into my adulthood from a spiritual standpoint, I was already not going to cheat on anybody as a kid because of, how I could relate, and I just didn't want to do that to anybody. But now coming into my adult years, growing more from a spiritual standpoint, because that connection that you have with that person, you value that person on a completely different level. On this surface level relationship type stuff, I really don't think people actually get to the point of understanding what I'm talking about when I say when it's a spiritual connection, or when you start developing spiritually, how your outlook on things, your value, and your appreciation on things changes a lot. So that amplified it that much more, even to the standpoint to give more context. For me, now being an adult, for me it's like how I look at it. If a woman is sharing her womb with me, and I look at the womb as being something sacred, I don't want to take a chance of lying to this woman or doing anything deceptive, and then what's a word that I can use? Basically stripping her of that thing that she's sharing with me, and now here it is, I'm bringing in other entities or whatever the case may be. If a woman is sharing her womb, I look at the womb as something sacred, and it should be treated as such. So that being said, that's the biggest reason why I have never cheated and I never will cheat. And I'm very, very disciplined. There's a lot of things that go into it, but that's my experience, and that's why I've never done it. Now, when it comes to being perfect in a relationship, no, I mean, that's not me. I have a lot to learn. But when it comes to the serious stuff, as far as lying, cheating, being deceptive, so on and so forth, that's why I'm saying my resume is impeccable. So despite the narrative, and I get it, because vast majority of black men have cheated, but when I say this one has never cheated, I really mean it, and I can stand by that. Now, if we talking about, because there was this one time in 7th grade that I might have cheated for probably about all of 10 seconds, and here's the backstory with that, because to me that wasn't really cheating, but being funny, I can see it. And I regret this, but I was a kid, you like who you like for whatever reason and so on and so forth. But I was on the phone with my girlfriend at the time, and then the phone, makes the beeping noise, let you know somebody else calling in. So I tell her to hold on, and I click over, and it's a young lady that I've already had a relationship with. Still had a lot of love for the girl, still liked her, seeing all the time, we was always around each other, so we had history. So it was her, so I click back over to my girlfriend, and I tell her, let me call you back, whatever the case may be. And so when I click back over to the girl that called in, essentially she asked me if I wanted to be in a relationship with her, and I told her, yeah. And from there, I was like, let me call you back. Hung up the phone, and I called my girlfriend at the time, and I broke up with her. Now again, it wasn't right, but again, I was only in the 7th grade, but that would be my 10 seconds of cheating on somebody, just enough time to dial the phone and break up with her. Another time, this would be a lot more serious. This would be in my adulthood. It definitely wasn't cheating. I realized it was probably a bad time to cut the video off. But while I'm sitting here, this is the following weekend, while I'm sitting here getting ready to edit the video, I realized it was being a lot longer, turning out to be a lot longer than I needed it to be. So I decided to go ahead, cut it, and I'll make part 2 to that video, because the story is relevant to the overall video itself. So I will be making part 2 at some point. That way I can give people context to what I was about to get into, because I'm pretty sure some people, just the whole point of the video with me saying I've never cheated before, I'm pretty sure that's already got people thinking like, nah, something ain't right. And then for me to end the video when I'm getting ready to get into a particular story, I know that leaves people thinking like, yeah, something up. But yeah, so whenever I post that video, definitely check it out. I appreciate y'all watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all.